The Russian Revolution was a time of widespread death and brutality. There are many smaller revolutions that when grouped together are considered the Russian Revolution. These include the Revolution of 1905, the February Revolution, and the October Revolution. Russia was extremely weak. It had just lost the Russo-Japanese War, which made Tsar Nicholas II lose his respect of the people. Another cause is that Russia entered the World War I severely unprepared. Soldiers were going off to battle without weapons and food. Mistakes were also made by the Tsar that were causes of the revolution. He took personal control over the army, which put him at fault for the losses. Also, because he was away at war, he left his wife, Tsarita Alexandra, in charge. She was German, so rumors circulated that she was forming a secret alliance with the Germans during World War I. All of these reasons led to people becoming discontent with the government in place and led to a revolution. The Revolution of 1905 was filled with worker strikes, military mutinies, and peasant unrest. People were angry because they were hungry, working long hours, and had little pay. Between 1895 and 1905, there was an average of 176 worker strikes per year. In 1904, 150,000 workers went on strike in Petrograd, leaving the city with no water, electricity, or newspapers. On Sunday, January 22, 1905, a priest by the name of Gregory Gapone led a group of workers to protest in the Winter Palace. Troops fired upon them. This became known as Bloody Sunday. The events of Bloody Sunday caused massive strikes throughout Russia. By October, over 2 million workers were on strike, and Russia was barely functioning. These workers cried for a limitation of the Tsar's power. In response, the Tsar created the Duma, but only as a consultative power. When the workers heard of this, they went back on strike. In October, the October Manifesto was issued, which granted citizens rights and limited the Tsar's power. This ended the revolution of 1905. Rasputin was a strange, mystical man. He claimed that he had the powers to heal people and to tell the future. Tsar Nicholas and Tsarita Alexandra eventually had a baby boy, but sadly he was diagnosed with hemophilia, or the royal disease. Hemophilia is a disease in which when one starts to bleed they cannot stop. Many holy men and healers were sent in to try and heal the boy, but only Rasputin succeeded. After this miracle, Rasputin became a personal advisor to Alexandra. Rasputin was only a peasant, so people did not like that such a low-ranking person had so much power. He was also a sex and alcohol addict. Because of this, there was a plan to assassinate him put in place. The plan was to poison him with potassium cyanide, but Rasputin somehow survived it. So they shot him in the kidney, and then in the liver, but he was still living. They missed 3 shots and then eventually shot him in the head. At this point, he was dead, but just to make sure, they threw his body in a river. The February Revolution was sparked by riots over the shortage of food in Petrograd. People had lost faith in the Tsar because of corruption and backwards economy, and the fact that he dissolved the Duma at his will. The immediate cause of the revolution was Russia's involvement in World War I. The Russians were severely unprepared and had more casualties than any other country in any war ever before. The cost of war also severely hurt the Russian economy. On March 8, 1917, 90,000 men and women went on strike, wanting bread. The soldiers were ordered to put down the strikes, but they refused and turned on the Tsar. This caused a provisional government to replace the Tsar. 3 days later, Tsar Nicholas II formally abdicated his throne. The Bolshevik Revolution was a bloodless revolution. Following the February Revolution, Russia was governed by a weak provisional government. In October of 1917, the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, occupied strategic locations in government buildings throughout Petrograd. Soon a new government was formed, with Lenin at its head. Lenin became a dictator, but vastly improved the state of Russia. He improved the economy, pulled out of World War I, and made peace with Germany. In 1924, Lenin died. People thought that Leon Trotsky, the brilliant leader of the Red Army, would take power. But it was Stalin who did instead. During Stalin's Russia went through a rapid industrialization and collectivization. But the most notable part of Stalin's Russia was the terror that he caused. Stalin was power-hungry and paranoid. He believed the entire country had to be united to be strong. This caused him to eliminate anyone who opposed him. First it was the people who opposed industrialization, then political prisoners, then the officials of the army were executed. Religious leaders were imprisoned, and churches were closed down. Eventually, the terror reached the lives of ordinary people. 20 million people were sent to the Gulag, or the system of labor camps. Half of them died. People lived in constant fear.